it's an honor that we can present this to you. I will start sharing my screen right now. Let's see if this works. It's always exciting. This one. There you go. So, how's this looking? Is that all right?
Very good, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. FEGGA, big in screen. Always good to see. I'd like to ask everybody to mute their microphones, please. Or be really silent. That's also very good. If you want to ask questions, do them by chat. You can do them just in between or during presentations. Dean is going to take care of those questions, and if he thinks, if he likes to, if he thinks he can address them to us right now, we will do. So we'll try to answer the questions during the presentation if possible. So just put them in the chat, and we're going to try to answer them as good as we can. I'm just going to start. Let's see if this works. Yeah, this is. Let's introduce everybody here. I've got here me, myself, below, standing in which Dean calls my friends. These are all my friends. These beautiful plants and nice weeds and everything. Dean likes to call my friends. All the insects are buzzing around me. It's my favorite place on the golf course, maybe. Maybe because my ball's always there, could be. Ronald Buiting, I'd like to introduce him. He's the director of Buiting Advies BV, a very creative ecological consultancy company with projects in rural areas, forests, nature reserves, country estates, ecological links, large-scale green developments, too much to mention, and also very much involved in a lot of golf course projects in Holland and Belgium. Also involved with the federation, which we were trying to set up with creating on course Netherlands. He was very much involved with rules and regulation and everything, and making a good setup of that program. Then Janus Landkroon, our inspiring chairman of the Dutch Greenkeeper Association, a very passionate head greenkeeper, and it's really inspiring to see what he's been doing right now with the Greenkeeper Association. He's making them prouder, he's making them more visible, he's making them more aware of everything. He's doing great stuff with the Greenkeeper Association. Great respect to everything he's doing right now. The webinar setup is a bit like this. I'd like to start off with a small talk about sustainable management and the world of sustainability and what's happening all around the world. Then Ronald is going to start talking about ecosystem services, and Janus is all going to send us home with some really great inspiring messages on how to get sustainable message across. I'd like to start off with the questionnaire we did with FEGGA, because it had some really inspiring results, actually. We had some questions going on all about sustainability and climate, and you can see if climate change was a topic within golf club, is climate change a topic within golf clubs and greenkeeping? Yes, says the biggest part of them all. Do you see golf being able to help slow, reverse, and decline of biodiversity in your country? Even more people said yes, we can take a very big part of changing that. And then, is decline of biodiversity a topic within greenkeeping and association of your country? A big part of them said yes again. What is the attitude of golfers in your country to improvement measurements on the golf course? 61 said positive. Martin Nielsen, is that you? Yeah. Somebody has to turn off his mic. And then the last one, is sustainable greenkeeping an important topic in your country? 20 out of 21 said yes. So that, I think that's really positive to see that sustainable greenkeeping is more and more, everybody's getting aware of how important that is. I was really happy with this questionnaire, and it showed us very much that we're in golf and greenkeeping are on the right track. We have a lot of challenges. I'm going to talk about that. We have a lot of changes, a lot of things coming from government, and but I like to think that we are all very much green-minded, and you can see that in this questionnaire that sustainable greenkeeping is a very important topic. Thinking about this presentation, I admit, struggling because it's such a big subject. It's such there's so many topics you could talk about: resources, future, animals, environment. So my son told me, he said, you have to make a mind map. So I started producing all these things and setting everything on board, and I think, okay, what am I going to do with this? Because there's so many topics we could talk about. And then I thought I'm going to narrow it down to three major topics I think are very important in sustainability. The challenges we are facing right now, the opportunities that are presented, but also I like to talk about the responsibility we have working and playing on these green areas. Let's start with the big message. You can debate a lot about this, but climate is changing. There's a lot of changes going on. Big water floods coming in, dryness, long dry spells. You see cities heating up. There's talk about in Holland about 50 degrees felt temperature, which has a very big impact on public health, on elder people who are struggling with these temperatures, people who are already struggling with physical health are really in trouble with these amazing high temperatures. Then, of course, in the middle, I'm sorry that's in Dutch, but there is a picture of pollution, on fine dust, on what effect that has on public health. And you can see the big areas with a lot of people, they are really struggling because death because of pollution is getting higher and higher every year. And then on the right, we have the Living Planet Index. And of course, I think we all know that this is going the wrong way. Biodiversity is declining every year. Species are disappearing. And so I think these are maybe the three biggest problems we have right now: is climate change, heat, and the biodiversity. And what's the cause of this? I'm sorry to say, but that's us. I know we are with a lot of people, and our impact is really big. So we have to face it, that we are the problem, and we have to change, because we are the problem, but also the solution, I think. What has the effect on golf courses? Of course, you can see in the top right, there is my old golf course, Prince and Bos. Gijs, the head greenkeeper, is doing really well, but he was struggling in 2019 and 2020 because everything got so dry. And he did an amazing work because he kept everything alive. But you can see how brown it is. Fortunately, I must say, have really good grasses and enough greenkeeping staff to get a little bit of water everywhere just at the right time. So everything, I must say, a lot of the grasses were alive when the rain started and the temperature dropped. But also the same problem Gijs has on his golf course is on the left bottom, is sometimes so much rain. So on the other hand, you're keeping them wet, and on the other hand, you have to keep the greens dry. It's really challenging. And then in the left corner, it's the changing in temperature, the sudden heat and everything, which makes the grass struggle. And a result of that is that because weeds are very much better equipped to survive, weeds are flourishing. You see a lot of weeds everywhere. And that's one of the bigger problems also on golf courses right now, how to manage your good grasses and keeping the weeds as much as possible away. And then on the right bottom, it's another problem in Holland, and I can imagine that in other coastal areas in Europe have the same problem, because we have this sweet water buffer that's pushing the salt water away. But with the lowering water table in Holland at certain points, you see the salt water coming in. So your sprinkler system on your golf courses, which has a pump below surface, is irrigating instead of fresh water. It starts to irrigate salt water. Grasses we have in Holland are not equipped for this. And it's kind of hard to change this back again because the fresh water is lighter. So when the rain comes in, we get more, and the water table is rising. The fresh water is going to sit on the salt water, but your pump is still in the salt water. So that's a problem which is very hard to change. And this is some of the challenges we have on golf courses in Holland. And then, of course, there is our government. The EU has a lot of directives set out. Of course, maybe the famous one is the Water Framework Directive, which has an effect on pesticides and cleaning water. But there's also a nitrate directive, which says this is the amount of nitrate we want to have in water. And this is going to have effect on everything in the future. If nitrate values in fresh water are not becoming to a certain point, they're going to have an effect on the fertilizers we use on golf courses. And there's, of course, the EU and Birds and Habitats Directive, which has a direct effect on how we manage golf courses. We have to be aware that all birds are, in general, are protected. So if we manage golf courses that we are mowing around and don't consider that all these birds are protected, we could be in trouble. And then, of course, there is, I'm sorry again, this is in Dutch, but this is an investigation the Dutch Federation did. You have public perception. There's still a lot of perception on the golf in society. Golf is very polluting. And then you can see the difference in the middle. In the middle, you can see it says landbouw, but that's agriculture. That's how many pesticides they use. And then you can see golf courses, 1.5 kilograms. So that's a lot lower than agriculture is doing. But perception still rules, and it states that, a lot of people think there is a lot of pesticides uses on golf courses. And there's, of course, and I kind of feel for that, is that government in Holland especially doesn't want to spray where children are playing their sports. So that has a big impact on the uses of pesticides in Holland. And there's, of course, the perception that that there some rich guy comes in, takes all this land, designs it for his own pleasure to play golf, and that has a big impact on nature. It's not always the case. If you see how nature sometimes flourish in a lot of examples, flourishes on the golf course. How many nice birds are coming in? The diversity of birds is exploding on a lot of golf courses in Holland. But still, perception rules, and the perception is still that golf has a big impact on nature, and that's something we have to work with. That has an impact on everything we do. So, with all this in consideration, I want to talk about this fantastic document. This is the FEGGA Responsible Golf Course Management document, which is amazing. There's a lot of good comments in there. It's really it really how do you say it, specifies what we should do as a golf course. But I also think we need to look at the future. So I like to comment on some things that are stated in this document. For instance, we talk about optimal nutrition. Nutrition is observed as managed, so as to attain robust, good quality. We have to be really efficient with nutrition, it says, and that is very true. But we have to consider that with the nitrate directive and everything that's coming at us from government, that there is a chance that the use of chemical fertilizer will more and more become a topic of discussion. And we have to keep in mind that there is a chance that chemical fertilizers will be banned, and that we have to look for organic-based fertilizers. And of course, we all know that this has a bit of a disadvantage, especially in the early spring. But it's something we have to consider for the future. Next on water, also we have to be. It says very well, very clear. It makes a statement which is very good. We have to be efficient and very effective with our water. But if we see what we see happening in Holland, we have to consider that although we are really efficient and really effective, that still more and more bounds and rules and regulations will become in place, and even water users will be prohibited at certain times of the year. The harder it for the government gets to create clean drinking water, or even produce water to irrigate crops, this will have a direct effect on the usage of water over at golf courses. It's something, it's not really effective at the moment, but it will definitely come to us in the future. This is also a very interesting one. A good growing environment, shade, air movement, and drainage are managed to promote the correct micro environments for growth. This is, of course, so very true. Shade has a big impact on grasses. The problem we now have sometimes on golf courses in Holland, if we try to create shade by cutting down trees, law states if we cut down the trees, we have to put at least one and sometimes more trees back. And we all know golf course has been played on, golf is organized on a certain amount of area. There are some golf courses in Holland who don't have area to put trees back. So how can they cut down trees if they don't have area to replace trees? This is something which happens in Holland, and it could be have an effect on more and more countries. I'm not sure, but it has a direct effect on how we have to manage shade and everything in Holland. And then, of course, this one, and this is quite an obvious one, I think, use of plant protection products, or as stated, pesticide, and minimize use of herbicide. Of course, we have to use as minimum as possible. But if we see what happens in Holland, and if you look at the directive from Europe, the availability of pesticides, there's a big chance that will be done in the future. I've been talking to a lot of big companies who produce pesticides, and they even say that they see an end of pesticide use on golf courses. So that's something, all these topics, I think they're not happening really right now, but it's definitely something to consider for the future. And then, of course, what I like to think about is, of course, this is all challenging for us. This is challenging for greenkeeper. These are really, to produce good quality turf with all the challenges are big challenges. Laws and regulations, the change of climate, and the impact is going to impact how we're going to work on golf courses. And then, still, I think, because we play and work on these big green areas, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to create biodiversity. We have to make sure that we don't pollute. CO2 we all can have a big role there for society. I think that's one of our responsibilities as managing these nice green areas. And also we have a responsibility to our people we work with or to ourselves, because this is because pesticides are really, you have to really be careful with that. And I'm going out of a limb here, but I think it's time really we try to cut down on uses or we even stop using it. This is a presentation of Professor Bas Bloem from the Radboud University. It's a big university in Holland. And he shows us here, this is of course a map of France. And this is where they find the most pesticides in fresh water. And these areas are directly related to where the most wine is produced. And then you got this map. And this is where in France, the highest percentage of Parkinson disease is. I'm going to show this one. This is wine and pesticides. This is the amount of Parkinson on wine farmers. Wine farmers tend to use pesticides, and you see that there it's become, how do you call it? It's called an occupational disease. That's what the name is. Parkinson has become an occupational disease under wine farmers. So I think it's a responsibility for us to, with the people we work with, to realize what this use of pesticides can do to your health. And then also, even downside is, this is going to become, due to leakage into the water, it's going to go in our food systems. And in our food system, it comes, of course, on our table, and we are going to eat it. Maybe in small amounts, really small amounts, but I think I'm going to show you again. I think this is amazing. You see the impact of using of pesticides on Parkinson's. I think this is a troubling effect. But then, fortunately, there's also chances, things we can do, things we can change, and we always have to start with the 3 P's, of course: people, planet, profit. If we want to make change, it has to start with people. It has to have people-centered now and in the future, and of course, it has to be ecologically viable and economical feasible. And I just read that profit has been changed in prosperity, because profit is really is short-term, and prosperity is more like profit on a long-term based. Because we have to realize that everything has an effect. A lot of profit has an effect on planet, has an effect on people. So if we have everything in balance, that's the way for sustainability to flourish. And I think change has to start, and this is a quote from Jan Rotmans, it has to start with the people who try, people who dare, people who want to make change. And that's guys who pick it up really early. People who think out of the box are such an important role. And I like to think that greenkeepers always are guys or girls who think about outside of the box. And that's where change starts. And I really like to, and I don't really think that, I just see it around me. Greenkeepers are trying to change, and they are front runners. So you have to get everybody on board. Starting to innovate, starting to test. I'm going to talk about a little bit further on. And this starts off with the people who pick it up. If you're going to wait to other people who pick it up, then we are too late. Let's all start. Let's all be innovators. Let's all be early adapters. And then that's where we can break new ground. That's where we can make change. And there's a lot of opportunities for biodiversity. On an average golf course, you use only 40% of the game. That means 60% of this golf course we can start changing. We can start creating biodiversity. We can start creating habitats for plants, habitats for birds, habitats for insects. We have 60% which can make a really big impact in the environment. And it's not only for society, it's also very much for us. It's maybe the only sustainable long-term solution is for bringing back balance in the ecosystem. It means biodiversity. It make sure you have your predators there, make sure you have your biodiversity there. That's the way to stop the scaver grubs. That's the way to stop the, we call it procession rubs. I'm not really sure what the name is in English, but that's where if we can make sure we have the predators there, if you have the feeding there, if you have all the system in order, that's the only sustainable long-term solution to get, and that means bringing balance in the ecosystem. If you look at the top, the cornfield, you can compare that just to a desert. If you look at it at biodiversity, there's nothing happening there. Look at and imagine a golf course, how biodiverse that can be. High trees, bushes, short grass, long grass. It's amazing how much biodiversity we can create there. And this is not only for society, but it's also very much the answer for the challenges that faces us on the golf course, like the damage from the scaver grubs or the burning hair from the caterpillar you see in the middle. And of course, again, on biodiversity, STURF has got this great fact sheets or working plan on how to create more biodiversity. Go and look on the STURF site and you can find some amazing research they did on biodiversity. Practical measures you can implement on the higher rough, the trees and the bushes to get more biodiversity. And of course, we can play a big role in creating stepping stones in the Nature 2000 areas. Nature 2000 is a big thing from the EU to bring back nature and preserve it really well. But if you look at golf courses, it can play a great part in being stepping stones between all these Nature 2000 areas. And there's, of course, opportunities from the industry around us. It's all the new grasses that's coming from these firms. These are going to bring answer to the challenges we have. The triploid grasses, the new grasses from, or the different breeding they do on English, on lowly and perennial or everything. It's amazing results. I had a great conversation with one of the development people on a big grass company, and I said we are really struggling with shaded areas on greens, and we try to cut down trees to get more sun on these greens. And she said, why are you cutting down trees? You could also put another grass on this shaded area, which is much better resistant or can better handle all these shaded lack of sunshine. And I was still okay. That's hard because of course it might have different fertilizer, it might have different water, it might have different speed, these grasses. And she said, well, these are all things we can tackle in the future. By breeding and breeding, we can start really creating grasses. We can cut short, handle shade better. And I like to believe her. If you see how much grass has been changing in the last 20 or 10 years, I think there are really opportunities there for us and really bringing answers to the questions we're going to face. And then, of course, there's robots. In the middle is one of the robots that's been now sold, actually, in Holland. It has an eye on there, and it just recognizes weeds, and it drills it out. You can see on the top left. On the right bottom, that's a robot that's been designed by a university. It's really light, and it just detects its weeds and drills it out. Then you have the electric way of handling weeds. There's a lot of companies and universities working on this, and I predict there's going to be more and more solutions coming from these industries or these universities in the in the years to come. So it's not all doom scenarios here. There are new developments which are going to make the not using of pesticides more and more easily, which is of course what we want. And and I'm a big fan of the global research initiative from FEGGA. Next to being I think it's very important that all greenkeepers on golf courses start researching themselves, make little plots and see what works for them. But I also love the FEGGA Global Research Initiative. Let's all come together and start researching. Let's start all and come together and find answers to all the big challenges we have. And I like to think big. That's it. But big things only happen when you think big and think out of the box. Make small steps, but small steps are still going forward. And then if you learn, just scale up and answers will present to you. This is the areas we are working with, and what I'm just saying, these are beautiful areas, but I very much think so that playing and working on these areas comes with challenges, but also with responsibility. So please we can all be a big part in this change, in this climate change, in this answer to this climate change, and answer to this pollution and the CO2 and fine dust and lack of decline of biodiversity. We are working with the one of the solutions to all these big problems. Of course, and then there is one of the answers to is ecosystem services. Ronald is going to talk about it. STURF has, of course, did research on this, on the CO2. For instance, I'm going to keep this really short, but you can store like a 0.5 to 1 tons of carbon per hectare on the grass. These are opportunities. Multifunctional use of a golf course. STURF a lot of research, a lot of how do you call it, fact sheets on that. How to get more and more society and more people, more diverse people on your golf course, so we can use this beautiful piece of land we love to play golf on. We can use it for more and more activities as only golf, which makes it more. It creates more awareness on what happens on these golf courses also. People get more and more aware. It's not like this environmental unfriendly place. No, it's a beautiful place which is environmentally really friendly, and we can do all these nice activities there. Also, the USDA has got this amazing research done on biodiversity, and this sets me off to introduce Ronald Buiting, who's going to tell us all about ecosystem services right now. Short introduction on Ronald is Ronald and his bureau has been working in golf federation and with the Golf Federation many years now. I know they have a lot of projects in Holland and in Belgium. They, which I said in the beginning, they work with communities, with forests, with estates, with everything. And he's really, for me, he's a really inspiring person. And I like the way he thinks about nature and ecological systems and how he talks about forestry. It's really inspiring. And I know he's going to be really inspiring for you all to talk about ecosystem services. So I thank you for listening to my part, and I'm going to share my screen now with stop share, and I'm going to invite Ronald to share his screen with us.
Koert, is it an idea that if there are any questions, you just take them now?
Sorry about that. Dean was promise to have a look at that.
Are there any questions that are interesting to answer now?
There's no questions, Koert.
Cool.
There's just a comment from Russell Riley. Russell, as you know, is from Sustain, and he kind of just made the comment that actually in the UK we do have areas that actually do already have nitrogen restrictions.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
So that's a comment from Russell.
So it's not in the future, it's already there.
It's already happening, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Russell.
Okay.
Ronald.
No problem, Kurt. I deal with 3 of them, and we can't apply nitrogen from September through to January.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen. Share, and then deforestation. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to tell you something about ecosystem services on golf courses. And before I do that, maybe it's interesting to tell something about my company. We started in 2005, so the company is founded in '92, but we started in 2005 working on golf courses, and therefore I've never been on a golf course. So I was invited by the NGF to visit as an ecologist a golf course, and I came there and I saw that the grasses were more than beautiful. I never had seen such grasses so shortly cut and so beautiful, and so beautiful to play on. But what I also saw was that the treatment of the nature wasn't done very well. You could say that the opportunities that were there were not used. And you see here things we do, some pictures. You see, for instance, the one above, it's the Kennemer Golf and Country Club. It's in links course, and there we made plans to bring the dunes back. We're going to make 2.5 hectares of open sand in this area. And further, you also see in the middle that we're creating heather. This is on the Hilversum Golf Club. And we also do things Koert just described, is doing some flying with drones, and then look how the shade is on the green, so you could see that how much sun there is on a day in September or October. That's just what you want. So we do a lot of things on the golf courses, mostly in creating nature and helping biodiversity, and that's why I want to talk with you about. Because I don't know if you ever heard about ecosystem services, and maybe you never thought about that it would be something for golf courses. My idea is you could ask why is this important for golf courses, and then you must know that in Holland, as you know, it's a small country. Golf is using a lot of surfers. It's about all the golf courses together. We have 250 golf courses in Holland. They all together use as much as one nature care organization. So there are questions about, can so little people use so much service? And we think, my company, and also the NGF, and also the one of the universities, because we did last year a project on ecosystem services. We think this could be the way that you could give something back to the society. So I think that ecosystems on golf courses are important for the future for golf in the Netherlands. And what is also very interesting, there is a strong connection between ecosystem services and the Millennium Goals from the United Nations. I just took out 6. Right? So as you know, there are 17 Millennium Goals pointed out. We have 6 goals that are directly connected to golf. And with the ecosystem services, we can make that connection. What I'm going to show you now is 11 examples from ecosystem services, 4 times on water, 2 times on environment, 2 times on biodiversity, and 3 times on health. And it means that on the golf course, we're going to do things, and that is helping the society. That's the idea behind the ecosystem services. Now, so I have 11 good examples. And what you see is that there's also a very well and easy to make a connection with golf. Now let's go to water. Water, we were finding out that drinking, buffering, purifying, and supplying can be tasks or goals that can be done on a golf course. Let's look further to this. Don't know if you know that, but in Holland, if you have an 18 holes golf course and with a surface from about 50 hectares, this brings about 375,000 cubic meters of rainwater to the groundwater. So that means there is a big supply from the rain to the groundwater, and the groundwater is water we can drink. You see it here. If you can see my mouse, you see here. Here's the rain falling, and then it will be going here. It will be pumped, and we're going to drink it through 375,000 cubic meters. So 375 million liters. So that's for a lot of houses, a lot of water, and this can be done by a golf course. So they can help us to bring water to the water we can drink. The second thing that is very important, as you know, Holland is very low, and a lot of places in Holland are even below sea level. There are polders, and then you see that if there is a lot of rain, and because of climate change, the rain is falling more and more, not all over the year, but in some particular periods, we have to go somewhere with the water. And there is a connection. You see here a city, and you see a golf course, and when there is too much water in the city because of heavy rain, the water will be stored into the golf course. So the golf course is like a super wadi. And there are more places in Holland where this connection, so between the hard surfaces and the houses and the cities and the golf course is made. So if there is too much water, it can be brought to the golf course. So that is buffering. And another thing is that we have to clear water. Some of the water is polluted. You could see that a golf course is a massive halophyte filter. And if you do that well, and it's done on several courses in Holland, so there's water coming in from an agricultural area, it's cleaned in the golf course and then brought out, for instance, to a Natura 2000 area or to a nature care area, and then it's clean water, so it's protecting nature. And then you have a massive halophyte filter. If you do this well, you will get a lot of species that are finding a habitat in this kind of area. So this is the third one. And this is a very important one. We have, because of climate change, we have great and long periods of no rain. See 2018, 19 and 20, we had, in the summertime, nearly no rainfall. And what you see here is the Amsterdamse Golf Club. And the Amsterdamse Golf Club is buffering water for the harbor from Amsterdam. So in spring and in wintertime, they're bringing up the water level in the golf course. And when it is summertime and water is needed in the harbor, they pump water from the golf course to the harbor. So there's a big supply. What you see is about an area from 100 hectares here, and they can buffer a lot of water, so they can supplying other systems. It can be an agricultural system. In this case, it is a harbor. So there are four important things that the golf can do with water, and that is an environmental service. Let's give two examples from environment. It's about capture and it's about producing. And the environmental goals are, of course, very important in relationship to the 2050 Paris goals. One, and it's a very important one, is CO2 capture. Koert just described how you can buffer CO2 in grass vegetations, but in forests that is even a bigger buffer. And if you do some calculations, if you have the growth of 1 hectare of pine forest, and we have a lot of pine forest in Holland, about 50% of the forest is pine, it compensates about 50,000 car kilometers, and that every year. So if you have a good functioning ecosystem with a lot of woods on the golf course, you can capture a lot of CO2. And what we now see is that there is also a value brought to CO2 capture. One of the ideas is if we could bring all the CO2 that is yearly captured by all the 250 golf courses together, and then see if we can sell that to one kind of company. That's one of the ideas we're now working on. And then wood production. I think Holland is a country with the lowest areas of forest in the whole world. We have only 10% of the area from Holland is covered with forest. And therefore, we have to import 92% of the annual wood requirement. So it's important to produce wood. You see here in the middle under, it's a photo not from a real forest, but from a golf course. It is the Hoge Klei, and they're cutting every year the annual increment, and that they bring that to a place where they make furniture and houses and all kind of wooden material. So that means that a golf course can help to supply the wood that is needed in the country, and look beautiful, because the picture you see above, that is the picture from the Hoge Klei. It's one of the most beautiful golf courses in Holland. But they also produce wood. Now then, two examples of biodiversity, protecting and developing. This was already shown by Koert, but in here you don't see the way the biodiversity falls down in the whole world, but also in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, only 12% from what we ever had is left, maybe 10%. So 90% of the species is gone. And it means that even species that were normally there, like rabbits, you see them in the middle, are at the moment in danger. It's incredible, but we have problems with rabbits. You could say rabbits are everywhere always, but we have nearly no rabbits anymore because of the problems with biodiversity. And protecting is a must. And just Koert told you already that protecting on golf courses is a very good idea. A golf course is a very good habitat for European protected species, the Natura 2000 species. Here you have some examples from that species. We do a lot of projects to develop habitats for this species on golf courses. And that's not because we want the species, but it's also beautiful to look at those natural environments. Developing of habitats, of course, is very important and also good possible. Koert just showed you that about 60% of the golf course can be a habitat, and we're always looking what kind of species are in the neighborhood of the golf course, and then we develop new habitats for that species. And so we help to achieve the goals for Natura 2000 on a lot of golf courses, and it's look beautiful. Then the fourth, 3 times health. It's about, and this is maybe strange, but we have in Holland a lot of problems with polluted air. The fine dust is one of the biggest problems. Koert showed you a map in which you see how many deaths this problem is making every year. Golf courses that are not far away of the city, this is the Rotterdamse golf course, can be some kind of a filter for cities. And that's they're not only filtering the air, but they're also making the city cooler in summertime. And it can be more 3, 4, 5 degrees if you are in the neighborhood of a golf course. This is a thing we now doing research on with our team. Now, of course, and this what you already know, golf course as a health energy. Golf courses live on average 5 years longer, and that means that if you have a golf course and it's and you have older people that come there and play, the costs of public health will go down, and that's what we see. And it's also worth, of course, something because you don't have to pay the public health costs. And golfers are physically healthier. We see golf as vitamin G. You saw So balancing is also one of the environmental services that golf can bring. So when I say ecosystem services on a golf course, for us, it starts to be actually quite normal. We must work on it. We do a project with the NGF, as I just told you, and with some universities, we work together to develop this. And it's also very promising because you can get a lot of results if you just go and work on this. And last but not least, it might be the social reason of land use by the Dutch golf industry, because as I started with, we use a lot of land. Now, and that's why Koert and I are actively working on this way of thinking, this way of getting golf into, you could say, this society. Okay, that's what I wanted to tell you. Thank you for your time. Maybe Koert can comment on this, how we are in the project. And if you have any questions, you can always send me an email or go to my website. Thank you. Stop sharing.
Thank you, Ronald. Thank you so much. Yeah, as you said quite well, we are both working on to get this more on more and more this topic to create more aware of the chance and the possibilities for golf courses on ecosystem services. Can you? Oh, I'd like to talk about golf course Zwolle.
Yeah,
who is a very nice golf course, fanatic geo members and everything, but it's really close to the city of Zwolle.
Yeah,
and what they did, of course, they got into money problem. They had to talk to the government with if they could help with solutions, and the government said no problem, but you have to be more how do you call that, available for society. What are your possibilities for society? And they correct me if I'm wrong, Ronald, but they showed by showing the possibilities in the biodiversity and showing their possibilities to be more available for people in the surroundings. They even got like a financial benefit from the government for a lower rent on their area.
Yeah.
Is that right? That's correct, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of, because we always like to think of financial of money in golf.
Benefits. Yeah.
And I think CO2 might be one in the future. It's not really there yet. Might be possible if we get more and more golf courses work together.
Mm-hmm.
But there are definitely also, next to our responsibility to society and our awareness to society, it could be in the future also be a financial one to look at ecosystem services. Very much. Are there any questions somewhere?
I would like to have some reactions from maybe this is only for Holland interesting.
Yeah, it could be.
Or is it also, I don't know. So yeah, we have a lot of positive response on doing this together with Van Hal University from Friesland, who are working with students on this. We had some positive quotes from a lot of people.
I think that's a good question. Is this something that's happening in other countries? Is this happening in Sweden, Spain, Portugal? I don't know. In England.
It's a question to the other.
Yeah,
visitors.
just unmute and give us a response, please. It's just for Holland, I guess. It's just for this small country with a lot of people.
Denmark, maybe.
No problem. If you're in the question, just put them in the mail afterwards. Also, that would be. We'll be happy to answer them.
Maybe it's so new that it's a wave that's coming over you. It's possible.
People are talking while they are on mute.
Oh, okay.
Just can you unmute? Yeah.
No, I was talking to my daughter. That's why I was.
Oh, okay. But it's Janus, this is a good bridge to you, my friend. You can start sharing your screen if you want to, and you please. Okay, you always start with this one.
It's important.
Okay, I'd like to present Janus Landkroon. Thank you, Ronald, for those inspiring words. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
If there are any questions in the mail, I will send them to you. And please, let's together work on this amazing subject together, because I really see the benefits of it.
I would love to answer them, Koert. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Next is Janus Landkroon, our inspiring chairman of the National Greenkeepers Association and a passionate head greenkeeper, and he's going to talk about sustainable management and how to get the message across. Take it away, Janus. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Koert. Just first a question. Do you all see just the full screen presentation, or do you see the presenter screen?
No, I see the full thing.
Awesome.
Good.
Perfect.
Then it's okay. Well, thank you all for inviting me to do a little talk. I'm actually in awe with what Ronald just said and mentioned. All very big projects, very big results. I myself am going to focus on the smaller steps right now. I'm going to first off start off with small steps as a head greenkeeper that I'm making and that everybody can make very easily. And then later on I will focus a little bit on what I am doing as an association and what we all can do as an association. When Koert asked me to do this one, I was thinking, hey, is it about biodiversity or is it about sustainability? And so I mixed them up a little bit, but you can't have one without the other, so it's pretty much the same thing. Of course, when you start as a head greenkeeper or a greenkeeper, why start? Well, you can start because you're motivated and you see the need for it. If you're not motivated, it will fail very easily. So get motivated. If you need to do it and you're not motivated, get somebody else that is motivated. Because motivation is the catalyst. It will pull the wagon, but it will keep pulling the wagon. And if you're not motivated, you can set things in motion, but it will stall in the end. So be motivated or seek someone out that's motivated. I would advise. Okay, then you're motivated or you got someone that's motivated, but how can you start? And I like to start with getting people on the team. Don't go in this endeavor on your own. Get a team around you. Share the load, share knowledge, gather knowledge. A sturdy team makes a solid foundation of what you're heading into. And then you're motivated, you got your team, and Koert showed it earlier, the 3 Ps. How to get people motivated? I think it's very easily because it's a topic everybody likes. It's a hot topic right now, biodiversity, sustainability. So I can imagine when gathering your team, it's not that difficult to get people enthusiastic. But if you need to convince people, of course, go to the 3 Ps. Go to members, go to your greenkeepers, go to everyone on the golf course and make a case on the 3 Ps. Like people, hey, when we do this, maybe our children aren't looking badly to our golf courses because our children like environmental friendly operations and projects nowadays. And the golf courses, we don't have the name yet. We are environmental friendly. So that's a people initiative, but it's also our health that benefits when we go sustainable and we go more biodiverse. When you talk about profit, of course, sometimes you see the big renovations like Ronald just showed, and people are scared of it because those cost a lot of money in the beginning, but in the end they will earn you money. They will make you spend less. But profit, the profit side, maybe you get extra golfing people over at your course. Maybe you get extra visitors in the restaurant because you're listed somewhere to be environmental friendly to the environment. And of course, planet. If you start out being sustainable, the planet will always thank you. It's beneficial to the planet. So I think if you don't get people on your team very easily, then you can sit for 1 hour and you can write down all the people, planet, profit material you can think of, and just start out gathering the team. And make small steps. I'm always saying keep it simple, stupid. It doesn't have to be very difficult. Start out with hanging bird houses, bat houses, housing for insects. Start with hanging them on places that are very visible for people, and that people will notice it, that people will talk about it. And in the same time, just write a small piece and put it on the website or in your own glossy, for instance. Tell them what the new ambitions are and what we're going to do and why we're going to do it. So that's so small steps. You can write an article in 60 minutes. You can buy some bird houses in a couple of minutes for a really small amount of money. You can hang them in a small amount of time on locations that are very visible for people. So that's to gain momentum, and that's very easy. And a lot of golfers enjoy those kind of things. Just ask some golfers, hey, we're gonna put up birdhouses. Who likes to help? You're gonna get people. You're gonna get people. I'm sure of it. Because in the pictures you see an example I have. And then you're making small steps and you're gaining momentum. And then it's time for a couple of bigger steps. And then you can touch on playability of the golf course. Get people out of the Augusta syndrome and get them convinced that following nature is more fun. You get more on the same golf course. You get more types of golf if you just follow nature. You have the winter, and your golf course is green and a bit more soft, so it's a different kind of game than it's in the summer when it's dry and hard. So it's much more interesting for people. And in the same time, when you follow nature, biodiversity will follow. Drier soils will have more soil life in them. More soil life will heal compacted soil. So everybody will benefit of when you follow nature more. And of course, inform your pros. Hey, pros, you're teaching target play, but you also need to teach bump and run, because a lot of members need to play bump and run when summer comes. And of course, at one point you have to set a base point. What biodiversity do we have? Do inventory. just ask the golfers or the members, hey, do you know somebody who's an expert? And if you cannot find someone that's an expert, just find somebody like Ronald Buiting and ask him for a day a year, pay the man, and he makes a nice list of what you have on the golf course, and spread it out. They don't make it a very big project. Each year, just do like for 1 year, see what kind of birds you have on the golf course, and the next year see what kind of insects you have on the golf course, and the other one amphibians or bats, you name it. And each year you do a little bit, and then you can slowly see in time what your gains are. What gains are you making? Hey, we got more species of that in that area. That's interesting. You can put it in writing somewhere. People will love it. Just do it. It isn't rocket science. No, it really isn't. If you see the bottom left, the heap of wood, I made it with my daughter last year when we were in lockdown and golf was not allowed. I took my daughter to the golf course. We had a lot of wood. We stacked them on top of each other. We took a lot of drills and we drilled a lot of holes in it. And we made a small pack insect hotel and we put it on there. And people love it. People walk by it every day now. And people love it. The picture next to it was a dead tree. We made it shorter so it won't be become dangerous. We drilled it full of holes again, and we put up a sign. And the total right picture I did with some greenkeepers. We made a big nest for the stork. We have 2 stork families on the golf course. And people love it. I call them our own pandas. Everybody loves the pandas. Everybody loves the storks over at our place. And at the top, I just started a new golf course, and we have some foxes getting eggs from the nesting birds on the water sides. So this is something I'm going to look into right now. Just make floating aisles so birds can nest on those. So you can do with really cheap labor, my daughter, because she costs nothing. You can make a really nice thing for insects, for instance. It's very simple. It's very visible for golfers. You can. It's doing good for the nature, doing good for insects, but it's also a little bit PR. And then as an association, I think it's important to lead by example. I myself, I'm a head greenkeeper. If I weren't doing things, but I was writing about it, that everybody else should do it, nobody would do it, because you have to lead by example. So my board, I know all of my board members are very keen with stimulating nature and looking at biodiversity. That's step 1. And then I think you have to create a community. Start showing people what the good examples are, and start writing about that society wants us to create more biodiversity, to be more sustainable. Make it look like everybody on the golf course is doing these kind of things, because people want to follow people. That's our biology. We are group animals. So if a greenkeeper starts reading about all of these golf courses making positive changes, that golf course, that head greenkeeper, they will follow, because that's in our nature to follow other human beings. And work together. we are very fortunate to have a very close relationship with the Federation and the Owners Association. We are the Golf Alliance, and we have a lot of reach within that alliance. But also Geo. Just look at Geo. They have very much a lot of good examples of golf courses making the right steps. You can share them for free. So work together with as much as different organizations if you can, that you can find. And then as an association, maybe take it a bit further. The driving range mat in the middle, how sustainable is it? It's not. We are getting rid of it, but nobody knows where it's going to end up. And I'm doing it myself also. I just bought a couple new ones just the other day. But I asked a man, hey, listen, are there driving range mats that are sustainable, or are you thinking about a plan to get them back at one point? Just trade them out. I don't like to throw them in the rubbish, in the garbage. And actually, the company didn't even think of it. But we as an association can go to our sponsors and say, hey, listen, does that piece of iron, Toro, hey, does that piece of iron or metal or whatever, does it need to go in a plastic bag? Or is just a carton box, is it okay? Does it need to go in a plastic bag? Grass seeds, can it go in a paper bag, or does it need to go in a plastic barrel, for instance? That's all things we as an association can stress upon. And I'm actually not doing this with the association right now. But I'm thinking about doing it, because why not? Everybody should go on the sustainable train. Small summary of a short presentation. Get a fan base, create your team. Then you got a solid base and you can build on top of that. It's not that difficult to start. Start with small projects, gain momentum, gain more and more people. Don't underestimate your reach as an association and your influence. And some things to think about: be the catalyst and not per se the engine. It would be ideal to start a project like this on your golf course and get as much enthusiastic people in there that it will run itself in the end. Because you're a head greenkeeper or a greenkeeper, you need to do a lot of different things, and you cannot be bothered with constantly being busy with biodiversity and sustainability. It should be a part of your operation. So be a catalyst, gain momentum, and try to get the engine outside, other people to run the project further. Copy success. There are a lot of good stories out there. Just copy them. Better a good copy than a bad original. And in return, share your knowledge. If you, of course, you can copy what other people share. If you like to copy what other people share, you have to share yourself. That's it. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Jannes. Thank you. Very inspiring, very good stuff. I saw a comment from Alan, I think, on reusing rubber mats. You can use old mats and cut up and use on the bunker faces. Yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen it also maybe at the end of driving races. They stack them as buffer for balls not rolling out and stuff like that. even insects are creeping into those rubber mats. So it could be interesting for the future.
Yeah, Judah Bunker and Eco Bunker use actually old football pitches, so it's similar material.
Yeah, these are all great examples that people are starting to think about it. People are, and I liked what Janne said. Just begin with start asking questions on your suppliers. What are you doing with this? What are you doing this? Can this be different? If you, as a greenkeeper, plant a seed somewhere, it eventually will start to grow and become into this beautiful sustainable plant, I must say. Yeah, I like that, Janus. Thank you so much. Are there any questions? Thank you and everything. No many questions. Just if you have questions, please mail us to us, and we'll be happy to answer it. I know it's a lot of, maybe it's people of topics you already heard, and topics that are not new, but I think it's very important that we still be very aware, because this, of course, this whole COVID things has brought some new challenges for us, but it doesn't mean that there are these bigger challenges are gone. These bigger challenges are still there, and they will be there if we are not changing. They're going to be there for a long time. I think Paul asked me to mention the next two summits of the FEGGA. It's on April the 12th. It's the FEGGA Scholarship Program Seminar delivered by Gary Smith of STRI. And May the 26th, there's another webinar, and subject is yet to confirm. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and please, I hope there was some new stuff. I can imagine there was some old stuff, but I think it's good that we put it forward again and put it on the platform again, so people are aware that it's really important that we start changing. And changing can be with, like Janice said, with small steps. It can with amazing steps we are trying to do with the ecosystem services. But I think it's all starts by beginning. And that's it. It starts by the first step. Thank you very much, everybody. Dean, is there anything you want to add, or Paul?
Not from me, Koert. Just to reiterate what you said, we'll send out the invitations for the next summits. We're just using the opportunity for something that we're delivering to our students who are now at Kristianstad in Sweden, and Gary Smith, with the support of Alan, is doing a 1.5 hour presentation. So we kind of felt why not make it available to everybody? So that's what we're doing. And the next one on the 26th, we're still to confirm the subject, but we'll be back out to you quite shortly. Just one comment, reading through some of the chats, Koert, was from Pedro, who kind of made the comment, and I think it is quite relevant. What he was saying is golf is a sport, it's a leisure activity, but also a business. He strongly believes that one of the most important efforts in order to achieve big changes should be made in information, I guess, just like we're doing today, but actually we need to be continuously working on how we actually can reach players, members, clients to be part of that change, because they are an important part of the ingredient, and to make those changes we need that support. So he makes that comment, and I think it's a very valuable comment as well.
I think so too. I think Janus stopped on that really nicely by showing by good examples and starting the conversation with members on simple examples on a bird cage or whatever. It all benefits better golf and better environmentally friendly golf in the future. And, yeah, let's get that conversation going with all these people. Very much so. Thank you.
And golf in public is changing. I had my course, the average age is 63. So in 20 years, the older generation we will slim to none, and we got a whole new generation of golfers. And the new generation of golfers, they demand sustainability. The older generation just likes to run off and have a drink with their buddies and don't see their wives for a couple of hours, to be honest. But the next generation want to be involved in projects. They want to be seen on sites that are maintained properly, pretty much. And not only the golf course, like where the playability, but also the surroundings. I'm convinced of it.
Okay. Thank you. I think we kept it nicely on time, so Paul will be happy with me on this one. Okay. Thank you all, and see you all next time. Hopefully we'll meet each other again in life in the future, somewhere, some way, somehow. And this is me for now. Thank you all from 24 degrees Holland in the sunshine. I'm going outside. Bye-bye.
Thank you.